Right guys, welcome back. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to start to look at the hazards. If you followed all the videos, you should be at this point where we have a helicopter in now which looks to animate and we can move it up and down. So what we're going to look at today is quite simply putting a hazard in, and we are going to move the hazard. So obviously the way this is going to work is your character is going to stay in one place, just moving up and down, and the hazards will move from right to left. And the further down we get through the videos, we'll be looking at generating them. But to start with, what we're going to do is we're going to look at moving them. The next video will cover killing the player if they connect with a hazard. But just for this video, we're going to look at seeing if we can get the hazards moving to start with, because that's kind of the main one we need to figure out today. So obviously at the minute I've got this kind of white box as my hazard, so we can see it there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by moving this over to the edge of the screen over here. I might make this a little bit bigger just because it's going to be a hazard. It's not really a hazard when it's that small. And just for the sake of it as well, I'm going to move the player over to the left hand side of the screen. This is the good thing about having the split view for scene and game view, because we can see where we're moving the player to. So right, we've got it all positioned, and hopefully by the end of this video you will see a hazard move from this side over to this side and off the edge of the screen. So to start with, yep, as you can see, I've dragged my sprite into there. What I also want to do is I want to add two components at the moment, which is a rigid body 2D, which I've already got. What I'm going to do with this rigid body though is I'm going to turn the gravity scale off, because we don't want gravity to act on it. We don't want it to fall. We want to be able to move it, but not for it to fall. We want to be able to edit the velocity on it. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to add a box collider 2D. This is obviously dependent on your hazard. The same goes with your character. If you've got a spherical character or a circular character, then you'd want to put a circle collider 2D. Just because mine kind of fit better with a box, I've chosen to do this. The other thing that I'll be doing is I'll be activating this here, which is an is trigger. So we're basically making that box something that we can crash into, and that'll trigger a reaction in the next video. The third thing we want to add is a new script. So I'm going to go over to my scripts folder. I'm going to right click, go to create, and open up a new C# script called hazard movement. Yep. Double click on this to open it up. It'll probably do that thing where it opens up in a different monitor, but yeah, that's what it does. And this script is quite easy. It's essentially declaring two variables and writing two lines of code. And this is just going to be to make the hazard move in the direction we want it to at the speed we want it to. So yeah, let's crack on with that. So let me wait for this to load up, and then we can drag this straight across. There we go. So the two variables we're going to start with, we're going to declare a private rigid body 2D. And I'm going to call this rigid, just like I did in the last one. We're going to declare a public float, if I can spell public, a public float. This is just for speed, so yet again SPD. And there's two variables. The two lines of code we need to look at. The first is to declare what rigid is, which is rigid equals get component, rigid body 2D, and we're going to close it off with an open bracket, close bracket, and a semicolon. So that is essentially at the start, like before, figuring out what this is, and we're just trying to get it to find the component we've attached. So in the update, what we're going to do is we're going to declare rigid dot velocity equals new vector 2. If this was in 3D, we'd probably use a vector 3, but just because it's 2D, we only have to worry about X and Y. And in brackets, we're going to declare what these are. So we want this to move left to right, so we just need to change the X value. So that's SPD, comma, and then this is just going to be 0. Close bracket and hit it with a semicolon at the end. So this, all being well, should work. So save that, go back into your scene, wait for it to compile so you can click things. Right, click on the hazard and drag the hazard movement script onto there. The way this is going to be is, even though we might want it to move at like 5, because we want it to move left, and that's like obviously minus on the x-axis, we need to make sure we set it to a minus number, so -4 in this case. This is me just testing it. It may need to be bigger than that, I'm not sure. We'll check. So as you can see, we've got that moving left to right, or right to left, sorry. Obviously nothing currently happens when the player hits it, but that's what this video is about. This video is purely getting the movement on there, because it's going to be something we depend on, and we're going to, you know, make lots of hazards do this. So yeah, that's kind of like the main bits for this video. What I'm going to go through the next video is I'm going to go through how colliding with the hazard kills the player. So that'll be good. And then after that, well, probably in the same video, I'm going to talk through what prefabbing is, because we're going to need to set up some prefabs. So yeah, hopefully I'll catch you then. So yeah, see you later.